I remember the exact moment I realized they never expected me to fight back. It was a chilly autumn evening, the kind where the sky looks like it's holding back a storm, just like I was holding back my own breaking point. I sat across the kitchen table, my hands trembling, staring at the letter in front of me. A letter that exposed everything they wanted to keep hidden. My brother, Mark, looked at me with cold eyes, the same eyes that had once been full of trust and laughter. "Emily, you should just let this go. Nobody wants to hear your side," he said, his voice sharp, dismissive. But I wasn't going to stay silent anymore. They thought I'd stay silent. After all, who would believe me? The family who had gaslighted me, the ones who erased my pain and painted me as the problem. But that night, I knew I had to reveal the truth, no matter the cost. Have you ever been silenced by those you loved most? Comment below if you've ever had to fight alone just to be heard. I grew up believing family was everything. My parents, my brother Mark, and we shared dinners, holidays, and endless laughter. Mark was my protector, my closest friend. We used to joke about how we'd always have each other's backs, no matter what. I met James in college. He was kind, patient, the kind of person who made you feel safe just by being near. Our first day was at that small coffee shop downtown. He spilled his coffee all over the table, and I couldn't stop laughing. That moment felt like the start of something real. We got engaged 2 years later under a canopy of stars in the backyard of his parents' house. He always told me I was the strongest person he'd ever met. I thought I was building a life filled with trust and love. So when things started falling apart at home, it felt like a betrayal not just to me, but to everything I believed about family. The pain wasn't just about lost love, it was about a broken promise to always be there for each other. James would hold me when the nights got too heavy, whispering, "We'll get through this. You're not alone." Those moments made the silence and neglect from my family all the more unbearable. At first, I brushed it off as normal family quirks, little moments of distance that didn't seem so serious. But the cracks started showing, subtle and sharp like a slow drip wearing away stone. It was during James's illness that things got worse. When he was admitted to the hospital, I called my parents to ask for support. My mom's voice was distant on the phone. "Emily, I'm busy with your sister's wedding plans. Maybe later," she said. Later never came. Mark started avoiding me. One evening, I tried telling him how exhausted I was, how I needed him. Instead, he replied, "You're always dramatizing things. Maybe if you weren't so sensitive, things would be easier." At family dinners, I felt invisible. Conversations would stop when I entered the room, whispers replacing warm greetings. I heard snide remarks like, "She's making a big deal out of nothing," or, "Why does she always have to bring up the past?" One night, James asked me quietly, "Do you think they're really on our side?" I had no answer. I was trapped between love for the family I wanted and the cold reality that they were pulling away. The betrayal wasn't loud. It was in the silences, the dismissals, the way they made me doubt my own worth. The day James passed away is etched in my mind like a wound that never fully heals. The sun was barely up when the phone rang. I was half asleep, but the urgency in the nurse's voice snapped me awake. "Emily, it's James. He's gone." The world tilted. I collapsed on the floor of our bedroom, the cold seeping through my skin. I remember the smell of antiseptic from the hospital, the sterile scent mixing with the overwhelming silence that followed his last breath. When I called my family, hoping for comfort, the harsh truth hit me. My mother answered, but instead of sympathy, I heard laughter in the background, my sister's bridal shower. "I can't talk right now," my mother said quickly, almost embarrassed. "We'll see you at the funeral." At the funeral, I stood alone by James's casket. My brother Mark avoided eye contact. The room felt like a battlefield, whispers, stares, and unspoken judgments. The most painful moment was telling my young son, Ethan, that his dad wouldn't be coming home. His wide eyes filled with confusion and tears. I hugged him tightly, wishing I could shield him from the world's coldness. That night, I found a box of old letters in James's study, letters that revealed the depth of my family's betrayal. They had known about his illness, yet they never offered support. never checked in. It was a betrayal deeper than I could have imagined. They thought I'd stay silent, but this truth was too heavy to carry alone. The day I confronted my family felt like stepping into a storm I'd been avoiding for too long. I remember standing in the living room where so many painful silences had filled the space. My hands trembled, but my voice was steady. "Why didn't any of you check on James when he was sick?" I asked, looking directly at my mother and Mark. "Why did you choose a party over my husband's suffering?" My mother's face hardened. "We didn't want to get involved," she said coldly. "It wasn't our place." Mark shook his head, his eyes filled with resentment. Maybe if James was stronger, he wouldn't have been such a burden. I felt the rage rise inside me. The years of neglect, the quiet betrayals, the loneliness. I grabbed the box of James's letters and placed it on the table. "These show what you all ignored. You thought I'd stay silent, but I'm not. Not anymore." For a moment, the room was silent except for the ticking of the clock. I pulled out a torn photo of James and me from their family album and held it up. "This is my truth. And I deserve to be heard." It wasn't just anger, it was reclaiming my dignity and setting boundaries. I wasn't going to let their betrayal define me or my family's legacy. After the confrontation, everything changed. The house felt emptier than ever, even though people still passed through the rooms. Some relatives sided with me, offering quiet support. My best friend Sarah was a constant presence, bringing meals and listening without judgment. But others retreated further, leaving a painful silence where warmth used to be. I spent long nights replaying memories, the subtle hints of favoritism during childhood, the times my feelings were dismissed as overreactions. It was like mourning not just James, but the family I thought I had. A family that had shown their true colors only when it mattered most. The loneliness was suffocating. There were moments I doubted myself, wondering if I was overreacting or imagining things. But the letters and their own words echoed back, reminding me that this pain was real and valid. Even Ethan felt the shift. He asked why Grandma didn't visit anymore, why Uncle Mark never called. I explained gently that sometimes people show their love in different ways, but some choose not to show it at all. It was heartbreaking, but I began to see clarity in the chaos. The truth had fractured us, but it also opened the door to honesty. Painful, yes, but necessary. In the months that followed, I knew I had to rebuild, not just for myself, but for Ethan. Therapy became my lifeline. Sitting in that quiet room, unpacking my grief and betrayal, I slowly found pieces of strength I didn't know I had. A new community began to form around me, friends who became like family. My cousin Lisa moved in to help with Ethan, bringing laughter back into our home. We started volunteering at a local support group for people dealing with loss, and I found meaning in helping others who felt invisible. I also set firm boundaries with my biological family. No more pretending or hoping for their change. I focused on building my chosen family, the people who showed up, who listened, who cared. To honor James, I started a foundation supporting families facing terminal illnesses, channeling my pain into purpose. Every letter we receive from grateful families reminds me that even in loss, love can grow stronger. Healing isn't linear, but every day I wake up feeling a little lighter, a little braver. The silence that once haunted me now carries a quiet strength, a promise that I will never stay silent again. If you've ever felt abandoned or silenced by the people you thought would stand by you, know that you are not alone. Family isn't just about blood. It's about those who show up, who listen, and who hold your hand when life feels unbearable. I invite you to share your story in the comments below. Let's create a space where truth is heard and healing begins. If this story resonated with you, please like, comment, and subscribe, because together, our voices are stronger. Remember, your truth matters. Don't stay silent.